All opinions expressed by the program participants are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Upscale Love for You. The program participants' opinions are based on the information that they consider from their own knowledge. No expressions or accuracy is related to Upscale Love for You.
Okay, y'all, this has been very interesting, and I like
It
how we're
has.
still saying adults. So, my question is, okay, men often say that women have very high standards and need to lower them, settle for, what's in front of them. What's wrong with standards, and why should we settle?
Or why shouldn't we? Mm-hmm.
Or why
Is this a
shouldn't
question
we
for the
settle?
men? Because I would love to hear what they have to say.
Can y'all hear me?
Me too.
Yeah, I can hear you, Malik.
Okay, good. I think there's nothing wrong with standards. I mean, we set them as men, and there's nothing wrong with y'all women setting standards. It's just about finding the person that's want to comply to your standards. I mean, we all got them. Like, for instance, I don't eat pork. I'm not gonna really be with a woman on a serious level who do eat pork, because pork is not going to be in my house. Now, if we're just, like she just said, travel buddies and talking, we friends, you can eat all the pork you want to. But if we're exclusive, you're not eating pork because I don't have it in, especially if you stay with me, because it's not in the house. So that's a standard. And sometimes women have standards like they don't like, guys now smoke cigars. You might be with a girl like, I don't like cigars. You can't smoke it, in the crib. And sometimes guys will comply. They'll get the man shed outside and they'll go out there, puff, puff, and come on back in. So there's nothing wrong with standards. Once you get someone to be compatible with you, develop chemistry, and be compatible. So that's my
But
take
are
on
those
that.
standards or preferences? Is that
There it is.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let
Yeah.
it out.
It's the preference. I mean, that's gonna go hand in hand together. Like I said, I don't want to be exclusive with anyone who eats pork because I don't eat pork. Haven't eaten it over 30 years. So if I meet a girl and she's on that level, we're not gonna be completely balanced on that. Dealing with
a lot of women on this panel eat pork, bro. Don't worry about it.
I was going to say that over some bacon.
I was gonna say, Papa Doc Danny, y'all eat pork.
I'm allergic to it, so I don't eat it.
But that's good. That's a good thing.
Why don't you
I
ask
don't
me the
eat
question you really
beef
want to
either.
ask me? Don't ask me about no pork.
I don't
Ask me
eat
what you
beef.
really want to ask me.
But I like the fact I see Patrick has and then Kate. I like your answer, Malik. Thank you. That was good. Patrick.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna say this. I think women have a different definition of standard.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Okay.
a woman will want a man to have XYZ as a standard, and they have a standard way below the XYZ. Some women that I have met, not talking about anyone on the panel, they want you to be making $100,000, have a Rolls Royce, a $800,000 house, but they're living in a 2-bedroom apartment with their sister
With a blow-up bed and a headboard.
or their brother.
That right there.
Can I finish? And then it turn around, and then you want me to be able to take care of your needs when you can't even take care of your own needs.
That right there.
So
I agree with you on that.
And the thing about that is, and I'm gonna be done after I say this right, women, you got to do better. I'm done.
I agree with you on that, Patrick. All right, Kay.
Oh, Patrick said that? Okay.
Yeah, Patrick said that.
Oh, I think that there's a difference between your preferences and standards. Because in my opinion, I mean, a preference could be, for instance, you don't want, I'm a non-smoker, so, I may prefer to have someone who's a non-smoker. So that to me is a preference. But when it comes to standards, I mean, I don't see nothing wrong, but I do think and honestly, I think a lot of women do have these standards that are just like over and beyond and out of this world, because for one, none of us are perfect. So what are you going to do? I mean, who meets the perfect mate in a man or a woman? So I mean, I guess you have all these standards. I feel like you're going to limit your choice of what's out there, because of all the single women, I don't know who's single, who's not, but on this panel, I mean, if you're in the dating scene, we got it to, it's rough out here in these streets. It's not that easy. So
Okay.
I wouldn't say lower your standard, because I don't think, I mean, all means stand by what you believe in or whatever you want. But I think that compromise,
don't have them
you
too
should
high
have an
that you
open
can't-
mind,
right,
and be willing to compromise and say, well, maybe he's not 6'3", but maybe he makes $100,000 a year. So what, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I just feel like if you standards and preferences just are different. When it comes to standards, I prefer
Bad
a person
example.
who's not a drug addict. Those are preferences.
Exactly.
Those are valid standards. I ain't just gonna be with no bum. But
Yeah, but
you
you
get
ain't
what
gonna be
I'm
with him
saying?
because he ain't 6'3", but he got money. You gonna be with him? Bad example. Bad example.
No, I didn't say that. I said he's 6'3" versus he makes $100,000 a year. Like, what is going to be your, what makes sense? I mean, some women may really be stuck on this tall man, but me personally, I don't know. I'm gonna go with the $100,000 a year. So I just feel like you gotta, compromise to really find who who's your soulmate. Your soulmate may not be your standard all the time.
Good. I like what you just said. Your soulmate may not be the standards that you have.
Agree, because your soulmate, I'm not going to say it may not. Wait, rephrase that one more time for me, Kay, because I couldn't agree with that. My soulmate is going to be my soulmate. He's not necessarily going to be 6 feet or whatever, because like I said, my husband, who's deceased, he definitely
so what I'm saying is, when we say standard, and I'm saying like standard versus preference, I was making the point that I do feel that some men and women have this like over the top list of standards, and sometimes if you're gonna, and all means you can stick to that if that's what you want to do, but I just feel like you need to be open-minded, and I feel like you need to be willing to compromise, because the pickings are not that great out here. For number one, I mean, let's be real. Number two, I'm not saying lower yourself or lower your standards, but
be able to
yes, I
compromise
believe
with
your
them.
soulmate may not be and have all those standards. That guy that might be for you, he may treat you like a queen and this night, but maybe he's minus one of those standards that you have. Are you going to just walk past all of that? That's the point
You'll be looking forever.
I'm making.
But Kay, some of those standards need to be, I'm gonna use a synonymous word or phrase, need to be non-negotiables. Like, there has to be some parameters to the person that you're looking. And you're right, I agree with you with the difference between preference and standard. But you do have to have a roadmap as to what type of man you're looking for.
You got to know
but
what
hold on a minute, because
exactly.
hold on a minute, because if you guys were listening to what I said, didn't I say that? I said that you gonna have, I said, like, for instance, I made that example. I wouldn't just say lower my standards to where I'm gonna be with a bum on the street. I have preferences and standards, but what I'm saying is sometimes people have this list of standards. I'm not gonna talk to him because of this, that, this, that, and the other. That's the point that I'm making, that sometimes we need to look within ourselves and just maybe be willing to be a little more open-minded and a little more compromising, because you can pass up something great because he may lack just one. That's what I said. I said maybe one of your standards.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Well,
I
I'm
agree.
also clarifying what's the difference between your standard and your preference. Some people don't know the difference. And if you can
and I got you, and that's why I brought that. The question was about standards, but that's what I said. Some people were beforehand were listing things, and I think some things, excuse me, like, I mean, to me, and this is just my opinion, something like a non-smoker, a non-drinker, like those might be my preferences. It may not necessarily be a standard, because what if you drink but you drink occasionally. I don't want to straight up drunk, but I could deal with someone who may want to come home and pop open a beer.
Amen. I understand.
You know
that.
what I'm saying?
I'm
After
drunk.
work. So yeah, I believe there is a difference between preferences and standards. My preference might be 6'5" or 6 feet and up, but my soulmate. But if I meet a man who's 5'9" and he has all the other standards, that preference may have to go out the window because he meets my standards.
Right. There was put in the chat a greater liking for one alternative over another or others. For instance, he chose a clock in preference to a watch. So, like she said, if he was 6 feet plus, but didn't have all the qualities, but you have someone who is shorter than 6 feet and have the majority of your qualities that or the standards that you like, would you not choose him because that one standard? I agree with you on that. Sometimes you have to lower your preferences to alter your standards. Dr. Fabulous?
Okay, no, we got a little clarity going on with preferences and standards and everything, but when myself, I'm looking for a mate, I'm going to write all the qualities that I want that individual to have. And yes, we have a little checkmate system. And with that being said, if he doesn't come up to my main standards, my 1, 2, 3, and 4, then it's no use to me to continue with that person because, and I'm gonna get my co-signer on this, Tracy D, my standards are my standards. And it's up to anyone to have or set a standard of specifics, what they're looking for and what they're willing to be with and whom they want to be with. Am I right, Tracy D?
You absolutely are right. And there's just a play on words with the standard and the preference, but also the compromise and the settle. There's a fine line between those all. And Heather had hit it on the nail, and I think I used that word before. It's non-negotiables. So and then people generalize a woman with standards wants perfection. That ish ain't true. That's not perfection because I have standards. That means I know what I want. Now, am I that woman asking for $200,000? No, but there are standards that have to be hit. And the other piece of it, because the height thing always comes up in being attracted. I'm not dating nobody I'm not attracted to. Them girls that are out there for money can do what they want to do if they're not. If I can't look at you in the morning, that ain't gonna work.
I'm glad you said that because our good friend Patrick, he put in the comments, if that man looks like Shrek, but he makes over 100 large, you going out with Shrek.
Well,
so
no,
Tracy's not going out with Shrek.
Well,
I'm not going out with Shrek. I'm not going out with Shrek.
If you're going out with Shrek, stop putting on, ladies.
No, Patrick,
you got the game messed up.
100,000, like 100,000 is something. 100,000. Well, I'm not gonna say, but that's the average of. I ain't gonna say
that's called a gold digger.
No, baby. That's called living. And if you live a certain lifestyle.
It's called a gold digger because if you're not physically,
I'm gonna let you have that one tonight.
No,
but if you're not physically attracted to someone, and if you're not physically attracted to someone, you're not even gonna bother. That's one.
No, we're
if
not,
you happen to know what he makes and he is handsome, you are gold digging because you know you don't want him sexually.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that. Everybody keep ranting and raving over $100,000. Like that's a lot of money.
Exactly.
That's an average salary for someone who has a professional career.
Exactly.
So $100,000 don't impress me.
Me either.
I think that's just a number that they threw out. But I know Patrick's probably saying if he makes good money, you are going to overlook that because you want that money. But to me, that's called a gold digger. If someone wants to be with somebody that's not physically attractive, is not emotionally attractive, or sexually attractive, it's called a gold digger. You're in there just for the money.
Exactly. And you still living in a trailer.
Some people are looking for a way out. But when you got something to bring to the table, you're gonna have that person. We going lateral.
Exactly.
Tracy, you feeling my
vibe? But if he's ugly, if you're not sexually attracted to them, you still saying that you're gonna be with them?
I know that's a no. I'm gonna go with a no on that one. I'm gonna go no.
That's what Patrick is trying to say.
I think they're just saying
sex is not everything. You said that, Chocolate Pearl. You said you could work around certain things. Did you not?
I said yes. I was talking about sexually. But I'm sexually attracted to that person. I'm emotionally attached. He's talking about if he is ugly, but he makes a certain amount of money.
Ugly to someone may not be ugly to the next person.
But what I'm saying to you, it doesn't matter if somebody else feels he's ugly. Is he ugly to you?
But I'm gonna look beyond the exterior.
Because he makes that amount of money?
Not because he makes that amount of money, because of who he is. If you're getting to know that person, you know, I may not like a chocolate man. I might like vanilla.
I love a chocolate man.
You know, I'm just saying it's to your preference. I can't tell you what you like, but what I like, I know what my preference is. And I'm not necessarily looking at the exterior. I'm looking at an overall, not just.
I definitely look at the exterior. I'm not going to even front. And the exterior, and
that's what you're first attracted to is the exterior.
And if their D game is not good, I'm gonna just keep it real. Like it is what it is. It is.
Can we be truthful? Can we actually be truthful about this situation? Women, you know, you're looking at the exterior and then you're looking at what his resources are afterwards.
I'm not looking for resources.
Exactly, because
I make enough money. What?
That's the thing, Patrick. You saying that and then it's not just women, but it's men too. We look at the exterior. That's what attracts you to that person, to even think about having a conversation with them.
Exactly.
Period. But then once you allow yourself to have that conversation, to get to know each other, and you learn about their circumstances, that may draw you closer to them.
Exactly.
So it's a different.
Ain't nobody needs your money, Patrick.
But the way you stated your comment, it's a gold digger. Period.
Yeah, exactly.
And everybody is not a gold digger, Patrick. Because some people come with gold.
He didn't say everybody. He didn't say everybody. He just made a comment.
I excluded my wonderful women of this panel.
Okay. All right. I can take
Dr.
that.
Fabulous. But I do want to ask you a question. I'm gonna be like my man here. What is on your check sheets? What are the boxes that you want somebody to check off that you can check off to make sure that they fit your needs and they fit within your life? I know you married.
I'm a widower.
We always take.
I'm a widower.
I want to know.
I was married for 24 years. But if you really want to know my first four, I can give them to you.
Sure, I would like to hear your first four.
Okay, I want my first and foremost. I want him to have a relationship with Christ, just like myself. If he's a Muslim, I'm rooted and grounded.
Are you a
because you know what? If we can stay together, we'll pray together, we'll do it all. But I want that first and foremost, because if he believes in a higher being, he's gonna have some form of utmost respect for me. The same thing that Miss May put out there. I'm looking for a man that's independent. I'm looking for a man that's financially stable, like myself, because I always said, when I come to the table, I come bearing. I'm not coming looking for somebody else to take care of me, because I can stand on my own 2 feet very well. You see? So I'm not looking for someone that I got to take care of, and I'm not looking for someone to take care of me. I want us to balance this scale straight across, baby. And that's what I'm looking for.
Those are good traits, but a lot of the women in today's society don't have those traits.
Oh, okay. No, they don't. You got to look in different places.
All right, Dr. Fabulous, you had a comment, or was what you said good enough? Good enough.
You said good enough?
I said you have your hand up. I was asking.
No.
You still have a comment, or is what you said good enough?
I'm
okay,
Lauren. I'm Lauren.
Dr. Phil, so good.
I'm sorry.
Dr. Feel So Good.
Yes. Here's my take on the thing is that there's nothing wrong with having a standard or standards. However, it goes back to what are you doing, what kind of person that has that the standards that you have want from you. If you're morbidly obese, you can want and have stand say a man I'm talking women. You can say that and with a six pack, but if you have a keg, they're not going to want you. So it's not lower your standards, it's adjust for what you like I said, adjust for your value. And a lot of us unfortunately don't, because one thing, two things, two standards that men and women have that narrows their choices immensely and causes a lot of them to date who they think they're less desirable, but who they qualify for. One with women, y'all 90% of y'all in here talking about I don't want no man shorter than me. Forget about the money. Forget about the money. I put the stats on how much the average black man makes, how much the average black woman makes. So forget about money. One, y'all, a lot of women say, I don't want somebody shorter than me. When you ask them why, there's a biological reason for that. But the biggest reason was I don't feel that he can protect me. Guys are saying that I don't want a woman that's argumentative, not uncooperative, but argumentative. Now, the guys that want those women don't qualify for those women, because a lot of times they are doing things that will cause a woman to argue for the most part. And we have to make adjustments on what we desire. You said what we desire and what we can actually get, because it all comes down to your, like, I go back to what I said before. It all goes back to how are you selling yourself. I can say I want a woman to look just like Gabrielle Union, have her money, but I don't qualify for her. One, I'm too old. Two, I'm too fat. Three, I ain't got enough money for her. And I do well. I do well financially. Make no mistake about that. But I understand that, and I just when you're with a woman, when you're with a woman, you want her to be as close to what you want and what you need as possible. Now, does she have to be the thinnest? No, but if she's relatively fit, that's good. Does she have to be feminine? Hell yeah, I want a feminine woman. I don't want no boss babe, because that conflicts to me. That conflicts with what I do. I want someone who will cooperate with me and see my plan and say that my plan is a good plan, and tell me where I could do better. And that's my personal thing. That's my personal thing. But a lot of us have it's not the standards are too high, they're unrealistic. And I understand what you said, Ms. Tracy. You qualify for everybody. That's on you. But I know I don't qualify for everybody that I think that I want. My perfect woman, I don't think I would qualify for her, but then I'm not going for it. It's like Chris Rock had a joke. He said, it's like me wanting to be with in Rihanna's underwear. I ain't never been there, so I don't know if I'll ever get there. And that's how it is that, I'm not going to cry over the things I know I don't qualify for. That's all I got.
All right, thank you. How about Anson?
Hello, everyone. I've
Hello.
just been sitting back listening to you all. You know, some things I agree with, some things I definitely don't agree with. But I'm going to say this. I've said this months ago that in our society we have a general standard of men going after women. Women are used to being wooed in our society, and we men are used to going after who we desire. But we have to learn at a young age that everything we want, we can't have. So our standards are skewed to that. We can't have everything that we want. Like DFG said, I might want a Gabrielle Union, but he understands that he don't qualify for that. I might want to grab Gabrielle Union, but I understand that she's with D Wade, so I'm not gonna try to step on his toes, try to get her. And that's a general standard that everyone should go by in life. You can't always have what you want. So to answer the question, there's absolutely nothing wrong with standards. Everyone should have standards, things that they prefer in their lives, right? But it's a harsh reality that you can't always have what you want. And I think a lot of women, and I'm not trying to be, oh, women, men, this, because y'all already know I'm equal bias. I'm biased on both occasions, but on both sides. But I feel like a lot of women don't understand that they can't have what they want because they're so used to men giving them what they want majority of their lives. And then once you can't get what you want, then there's a whole nother hissy fit being thrown.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that, Anson, in some aspects. But with my experience, no one else's, my experience, it's the opposite. It literally is the opposite. And my brother can contest to that. But I understand what you're talking about.
I mean, it's different from everyone. You know, I understand everybody has different experiences. But one thing that I've always said is that we all want the same thing. We all just go about it in different ways and then get mad about why we're getting the results we get and not fully analyze themselves to see why is this happening to me. It's always what like Heather said earlier, I've always talked about victim. Yes, I am talking about somebody wanting to play a victim because everybody finger pointing. Oh, this didn't happen because they didn't do this and they didn't do that and they didn't do. No, sometimes you have to sit back and analyze yourself and wonder why you ain't getting what you want.
Facts.
Thank you. Thank you. And Dream.
I definitely agree that there is nothing wrong with standards. And I definitely feel like one thing, just hearing across the board, I feel like people need to know their worth, know their value. And then I always say add tax. Because even just hearing the men talk and even listening to just like Dr. Feelgood and even Anson, I feel like all of us need to know our value and then add tax because you're worth it. You just have to, it might take you longer to find that person that's the right person for you. And yes, I mean, I feel like we always have to set standards. And no matter what, sometimes people that are going to be below your standards, it's not going to be a right fit for you. Or they definitely, if they're above your standard, it may not be a right fit for you. But I'm feeling like it's a lot of, I think it all is really going back to communication and kind of knowing what you want or giving yourself time to figure that out. Because everybody doesn't know what they want and everybody's not at the same space that you are. And I definitely think the standards thing, it changes with age. I can definitely look at my younger self and was like, I'm pretty sure I had like set standards that I wanted or I felt like I needed at the time. I think with maturity, you tend to realize it's not so much about, I don't think I ever had the tall thing, but I guess that was a thing. So it's not so much about their height or even their physical appearance. I can be attracted to other aspects of your personality. And a lot of times I might be attracted to the way you treat me or the way you make me feel, because I feel like when you get older, you get past the physical so much and it moves to like a different sense. And I just often think that we all have different things that we prefer, and then we all have our standards. But I just feel like, yes, it's all about your self-reflection. Because why is it then that a lot of times, like you said, Chocolate Brown, I feel like it's the opposite. Women kind of like settle and stay into things longer. And I think part of it is just not knowing our self-worth. And I feel like it's the same.
Exactly.
So I just feel like yes, the standards are good, but it's like know your value and then add tax and then work to hopefully find someone that can complement you. And I don't think there's any perfection out there, but I think it'll take time to kind of work itself out. And I don't even like putting like 90 days, like all of those things to me, putting like a timeline. It just makes it, you're just adding another layer to something that's already it's just such a dynamic, the whole male-female relationship. That's why every week we can come on and have all these topics and have all these conversations, because there necessarily aren't answers, but I feel like the discussion is good and the discussion is healthy. And it's good to hear different perspectives and to see how, like what I see is I'm not the only one struggling with this thing called the dating life. So it's like, yay. But at the end of the day, it just shows how wide ranging and varying this issue is.
Exactly.
And Dream,
But
I love the word that you said, to find someone that compliments you. And that's the key participle here. You got to compliment one another. That's it.
I like the one that you have to know your self-worth. I
definitely
highly
know
agree
that.
with you on that, because
Definitely.
I spoke about this a couple of shows back, that I didn't know my self-worth. I didn't think that I was worthy of anybody. So I settled. Now that I'm older and I'm, believe it or not, growing into myself and learning about myself more, I am valuing my self-worth more. And so my standards are, I want you to love me for me, and that I can love you the way I love, myself. So I had to learn that, but it took me getting a divorce to do it. So
we all struggle with that. And I think it's just a fact of life. That's why I feel like raising girls, it's such a tricky dynamic. And it's almost like you want to build that independence in them, but you want to teach them that appreciation of self and who you are and what you like holistically bring to the table. And I feel like just even looking at I don't know, they're not really teenagers, but my 21-year-old, like navigate life and male female relationships, I just think it's interesting. Like I think they're set up in a time where they're more free to express themselves and kind of more open about how they feel. So I definitely think they have some things in place. And then having a mother now that is like, okay, I know myself and I know what I did so well and what I settled for. So it's almost like, okay, I always tell them, you got to kiss a lot of frogs before you find your prince. And I don't think I got that type of message. And I feel like that's the message we need to put out there. And even now, as whatever age we are, because I definitely would call myself older, I feel like I don't necessarily have to settle, but I feel like it's a balance and a challenge to figure out what you want. So I'm just trying to like go along until I figure it out. I feel like it's a process, and
I think everybody is doing that.
Yeah.
I think everybody's doing that, going along until they can figure it out. And that's, guess what? That's the thing called life. You go along until you figure out. But most of us don't figure out that that's the game of the name of the game is that you have to figure out life. Your parents teach you a certain lesson up until a certain point, but the rest you have to learn on your own. So you have to stumble and fall. And unfortunately, sometimes when we do stumble and fall, we get hurt and our knee gets scraped. But guess what? That's why they got Neosporin and Band-Aids, and you put that on and keep it moving. But you still have to learn about yourself. And that's one thing that I'm learning about myself.
Don't forget Robitussin.
Oh yeah, Robitussin. Yeah. Well, I appreciate all the comments, and we have run out of time. We needed to have quit at 10 o'clock. Fortunately, once again, we have not been able to get to my favorite brother, his test studies or his opinion on things, but he has enlightened us throughout the whole conversation, his intake, and we love that and we appreciate that. And unfortunately, we weren't able to get to the next step because this was such a good conversation. Part 2 will be next week. Anson, I want to thank you so very much for submitting this question. I think that this is a really good question, and we did so well.
Yes, we
And
did.
keeping our cool and not arguing. And Patrick, I thank you for a lot of the comments that I actually agreed with you. And so I appreciate that. I'm going to hand it over to our fabulous Dr. Fabulous.
No, we didn't. We don't agree on none of that stuff. I'm just
Okay, listen, I would like to thank each and every one of you for spending your Thursday evening with us. A special thanks to Papa Docs for coming, and Danny, and all the men, because sometimes men is what put the women in motion to really express themselves. And to Heather and Tracy, D, Adrienne, everyone, thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us. And with that being said, I'm going to let Dr. Feel So Good close us out and give us a quick nugget.
Thank you, Dr. Fabulous. This has been an intense show tonight, and not in a bad way. And I'm glad that everybody had a chance to say something, and we got good back and forth dialogue. And I feel we got to push the conversation forward, knowing that standards and preferences are what we have. We just have to know what we have in order to get what we want. Now, are we going to get everything we want? No, but it's not possible. Ladies, I'm not saying to lower your standards, because your standards are still your standards, your preferences are still your preferences, but understand that what are you doing to meet for the type of person, for the type of outcome that you want?
Or are you willing to compromise?
Yes, guys, you have to look at getting yourself, being on your purpose, to be able to get what you want. Because a lot of us, we complain there are not a lot of quality women out there, or women that we want. Instead of doing that, get yourself right, and then the people you want are going to come to you. You have to be somebody worth coming to. Also, just before I go, pass it back to Dr. Fab. 29 October, Scottish Rite Masonic Lodge in Savannah, Georgia. Upscale Love for You ball. Hopefully you got your tickets or got a table. We want everybody to have the best time. We're going to have a great time. We want you there. We need you there. We desire you there. We want to have fun, and we're going to make it fancy. It's going to be fancy. It's going to be fun, and it's going to be upscale, because that's how we do things. Now back to you, Dr.
Right. Everything like my name, Dr. Fabulous. It will be fabulous. So I'm welcoming each and every one of you to the city of Savannah. And we going to do the doggone thing on October 29th. Heather, come on, you all, make it a Savannah weekend. We can stroll and roll down Savannah on Sunday. Ooh, anyway, it's going to be a blast, you all. And I want to say thank you once again for coming on tonight. And until next week, Thursday, same time, same place, I'm going to say smooches.
Don't forget, everybody has to wear a mask, and not a COVID mask.
Not a COVID mask, people. A fashionable masquerade mask. So good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.